I'm Mel and today I'm going to do my February wrap-up. As we know, February is a very short month, but I managed to read even more books that I read in January. I'm just saying that I didn't pay a lot of attention at work because I was listening to a lot of audiobooks, but I actually had a really good reading month with a lot of really high ratings. So the first book I'm going to talk about is a very hyped book in the booktube community, and that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. So we follow this girl who saw her parents being murdered when she was really young, and then the murderer took her and her sisters to Fairy. So 10 years later she is trying to live among the Fae while constantly being reminded that she doesn't belong there because she's a human. It's thought-provoking and very intriguing throughout. Holly Black's writing and ability to create a world that I had never seen before was executed beautifully. It's dark and intense, and it has really important conversations on family and consent and the differences between people. So I gave this book 4.5 stars. Then I read Saints and Misfits by S.K. Ali. It's an own voices book about a hijabi girl trying to deal with the consequences of an attempted rape and continuous harassment by a very well-respected member of her community. The aspects about the interactions that she had with her family and her friends after she suffered a trauma was super interesting. It was very raw and real and very triggering at some points, so be aware of that. It breaks down so many stereotypes and we have multi-dimensional and very relatable characters, but the writing could feel a little bit choppy at some point, so that's why I give it 4 stars. Then I read The Radical Element, edited by Jessica Spotswood. These are very feminist short stories with a lot of diversity that challenge a lot of my preconceived ideas and made me learn a lot about the US history, but also the history of other countries and how people from other countries arrived to the US. Also, I really appreciated that most of these stories were own voices and they were really well researched. My favorite was, of course, Glamour by Anna Marie McLemore, who is my favorite writer ever. And if you like The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I would really recommend that story. So I gave the entire collection 4 stars. Then I read A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole, and it came out yesterday. This is about a girl who is supposed to marry an African prince, and when he goes and looks for her, she doesn't recognize him. So he takes that opportunity to live as a normal person. It was a perfect combination of a number of things that wouldn't work together normally, like cheesy and unpredictable, moving and funny and complex and very romantic. This is a romance that has a lot of commentary on colonialism, the foster system, sexism and racism in STEM, and I gave this book 4.25 stars. Then I read The Year of the Crocodile by Courtney Millan, and this is a novella that is the 2.5 book in the Cyclone series. It's about the couple that we follow in the first book, Trade Me, and they go to celebrate the Chinese New Year with both of their families who are united for the first time. I adore these characters and their families so much because they are so complex. It has a lot of Chinese culture throughout this book, and it touches a lot on the recovery of a mental illness. It also opened a door that I wasn't expecting, but it left me wanting to read the next books in this series, and I gave this 4 stars. Then I read Hurts to Love You, which is the 3rd book in the Forbidden Hearts series by Alicia Ray. This takes place throughout the wedding of the first couple that we see in the first book in the series, and they are inviting their friends and family a few days before the wedding to celebrate with them, and that forces Gabe and Evie to confront their feelings and also a lot of their personal issues. Alicia Ray is one of my favorite romance writers. She has such care for details and love for her characters. We have so many POC characters in this series, and it was a fantastic romance with characters that don't try to fix each other but try to be there when they need the other person. So I gave this book 5 stars. Then I read Breakaway by Avon Gale. This is about 2 hockey players from different teams who form a relationship while dealing with being a bi man and a gay man in the hockey industry. This was a cute book and it was well written and the chemistry was definitely there, but there were a few things that I didn't like. There were so many stereotypes against women and it was called out on page a lot of times, but I didn't understand why there was a need to constantly do that. I think the intentions were good in trying to show a growth for these characters, but it wasn't executed very well. So I gave this book 3 stars. Then I read Knit 1, Girl 2 by Shira Glassman. This is about a yarn dyer who is looking for inspiration for her new color range, and she really gets inspired by a local artist. It's one of the cutest FF stories that I've ever read. It's adorable, short, and it has a lesbian and a bisexual Jewish main character. The relationship was extremely supportive and the communication was so well done throughout the book. So I gave this book 4 stars. Then I read A Gentleman in the Street by Alicia Ray. This is about a billionaire businesswoman and her ex-stepbrother, and they've had a very tumultuous relationship throughout many years. This is a very feminist, sex-positive erotica that works with gender roles and just flips them upside down completely. It has a couple with the most chemistry that I've ever read, I think. The heroine is Japanese and bisexual, and the hero is responsible for his younger brothers and sister, and I gave this 5 stars. Then I read Making Up. This is the 3rd book in the London Celebrity series by Lucy Parker. This is about an aerial artist who is working in a circus, and it's also about a makeup artist who has been her enemy since high school. From this book, what I truly love is seeing a woman picking herself up, healing and working on her mental state, growing and thriving, showing her strength and her fierceness, and it showed such a healthy relationship where the guy wasn't overbearing against her even though he knew what was happening to her, but he was there every step of the way trying to support her and giving her her space as well. So I gave this book 5 stars. Then I read Binti by Nadia Corafor. This is a novella in which a girl walks away from her family to go to a special college that no one in her tribe has ever gone to. On this ship something terrible happens and she finds herself being the peacemaker. This was a gorgeously told story. The author was amazing at painting pictures and scenes in your head because she did such a wonderful job at describing everything that was happening. It had a very powerful character with a lot of backstory and conflict of interest and really important internal discussions. So I gave this book 4 stars. Then I read If the Dress Fits by Carla de Guzman. This is an On Voices Filipinx book about a girl and her best friend who are faking a relationship for her cousin's wedding. It's an incredible and adorable romance that you can see grow in front of your eyes. The 2 main characters have known each other for such a long time, but you feel like you have known them for that time as well. I absolutely adored the talk on fatness because the heroine in this story is fat. It was heartwarming and empowering, and it made me look inside myself for prejudices that I still have against me. That's why I gave this book 4 stars. Then I read The Wedding Date by Jasmine Gilroy. This is about a guy and a girl who meet on an elevator and they fake a relationship as well for a wedding. There was safe sex, steamy romance, and a lot of checking of privilege. The heroine is a black woman and the guy is white. And there was a constant talk on boundaries and on beauty standards and on microaggressions. Also, they are extremely passionate and proud of their careers and they never compromise that. So I give this book 4.5 stars. Finally, I read another Courtney Milan book, and that is Proof by Seduction. This is the historical romance about a fake fortune teller and a scientist who is trying to prove that she is a fake fortune teller. This was much more complex than I thought it would be. It actually made me cry towards the end. I was engaged and intrigued for the plot throughout the entire book. There were a lot of very feminist topics and a lot of calling out. And Courtney Milan is just such a brilliant writer. Okay, that's everything for today. Hope you liked this. If you subscribe, and I will see you when I see you. Bye!